Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bachelorette Recap, a guy's review. It is the internationally renowned Bazillion bad boy, aka Linen Shirt Dave. Good to see everybody. How are you today? This is my last video from paradise. It's 6 a.m. The skies are looking beautiful. Can you see this over here? We're just really having a blast. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? All right, so I'm about to fly out of here. As you guys know, I watch the show, I take notes, I read them back to you. No edits, just me and you. So we'll get right into that. First, quick promo, as I'm doing this all on the fly here, is right after this video, I've got Michelle Young's Men First looks. So we got 35 of the men. They're not all of them are going to make the cut, but we start to look at them on their first impressions. And I do have to apologize. I went really hard on Nova Scotia. So my apologies to all the Canadians, or as you guys would say, I'm sorry. So you'll have to watch that video, but that'll be up just after this one. So make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already and all that jazz. So let's get into it. Let me take this. I'll leave that graphic up. Let's get into it. So I got my notes here. About to fly out of here. I got such a bad sunburn yesterday trying to swim with sharks. Oh my gosh. You gotta put sunblock on your back when you snorkel. Oh, who knew? Put aloe on it. Don't, tan-splain to me. All right, we start with Michael A., all right? Men Tell Law, we start right in the thick of things. We've been waiting for this story. We all kind of knew that this was coming, unless you're unspoiled, in which case, good for you. But it's just impossible these days to remain unspoiled. My Instagram account is just one spoiler after another. Last night, Tasha goes, oh my gosh, I found a spoiler about tonight's episode. I hadn't even watched it yet. I was like, oh yeah, Connor kisses the chick. He goes, how do you know? I go, everything gets sent to me. All right, Michael A., the show blew their budget on the orchestra, so they... The orchestra they used for Michael A.'s exit scene, they spent more money on that than anything. They literally dressed Katie in t-shirts so they could afford a sad cello, and I'm all about it. They had the sad strings going on. And was I watching the Titanic? Michael's walking down the end of the thing, and I'm like, is this the part of the movie where everybody's dead now? Like, this is the saddest thing ever. It's not a zero-sum game in real life. You don't have to choose between your kid and dating, but in some cases, I guess that it comes off that way. So Michael's son started to miss his daddy, which is heartbreaking. We all know how that goes, just heartbreaking. He's at that age where he doesn't know what's going on. And he says, why don't you want to see me anymore? Which is the saddest thing in the world. That's the saddest thing in the world to hear your kids say. And it's like, no, listen, I'm trying to get you a mommy. I don't want to see you anymore. I want to see you, but with a mommy, And he can't understand that. So Michael says, I can't focus on anything else, which we can imagine. Relationships are the dessert in a relationship, not the main course. You have to take care of your own stuff, whether it's like plenty of issues. Sometimes for people, it's whatever debts they have, or they're trying to get their career started. Whatever the case may be, you got to take care of your stuff before you kind of bring your best self into a relationship. And that's not always the case. Sometimes you're in a relationship and your supportive partner can help you. But in cases like this, he's like, I got to be a dad right now. This is that kind of pivotal moment, the formative years for the kid. Katie said, and this is interesting, I saw us going to the end, which I thought was fascinating. She says, I saw us going to the end. He's like, you want to do the fantasy suite real quick? I know it's not till 2 episodes from now, but if you want to do the fantasy suite, we can go to the end, but I got to catch a flight. He didn't say that. I made that up. So then we introduce the hosts. Tayshia and Caitlin come out. This is interesting. Tayshia says it's the most dramatic season in Bachelor history, and I'm looking at you, Chris Harrison, like you were a part of this, whether Chris Harrison wants to be or not. He was a part of what has to be the most dramatic year in Bachelor Nation, 2021. Who would have thought 2020 was just a precursor to this year? Oh my gosh, it's like, what made the year so tough? Chris Harrison leaving? The Delta variant? Katie's wardrobe? Who knows, really? Who knows? Cody and Aaron continue their vague fight. Apparently Cody, no one ever knew what they were fighting about, but apparently Cody said, I will be famous in 6 months. So that became kind of the talking point. Cody saying I'd be famous in 6 months on an Instagram story. Cody says everyone took that out of context. I'd be the type of guy that would post the same thing as a joke and then have it bite me in the butt afterwards. I'd be the same guy. I'm not saying Cody's in the right or the wrong here. It's just we still don't have enough information to make an opinion. Because then Brendan, the Canadian guy, Canadian Bacon over there with the nice Jimmy Neutron hair or whatever you want to, he looks like he belongs in the Incredibles show. He's like, what's your skill? I go on TV and kiss women. I was surprised how much he was calling people out. I mean, they virtually edited him out of the show, right? He was not really seen much in the show, but he seems like a cool guy. Sometimes they do these men tell alls, and then the person who left on the first night tries to get in too much, and it's like, listen, no one cares about you. Like, that's the case. You know what I mean? It's like, sit down, Samantha. Samantha's like, but it's like, shut up. No one cares. Okay. But with Brandon, it's like he was around for a long time until he self-eliminated, and then but he really, we don't get to know much about him. We go to Carl. Carl says when you go after people, it becomes a witch hunt. Listen, a broken clock is right twice a day, unless you're on military time, in which a broken clock is right once a day. But in either case, Carl Smith has a point that everyone would just go on these witch hunts, and that's the case. They'd pick off the weakest link, they'd talk a lot of trash, and they'd get them off, and it was safety in numbers. It's like the pack is safe if they're just chewing on the slowest wildebeest. So every week they're like, who's the slowest wildebeest? Who wants to get eaten by a pack of lions from the butt first? Carl says the bad guy was Thomas, and then Canada Brendan, is that his name? Canada the Bacon Incredibles. He was like calling after Carl, and it's like immediately this is what happens when you the squeaky wheel gets the grease. When you're on the show and you start to be the one who's like, that's the bad guy, you're just going to be open for criticism. So the fact that Carl stirred that up and just like doubled down on it, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you stirred it up. Let Katie figure it out. If someone goes on the show and they're like, I am an evil F-boy and I'm only here for these reasons, it's like, all right, let Katie know. But in these cases, it's like so subjective. Which guy's the bad guy? Which guy's there for the wrong reason? So then they tell Canadian Bacon he's just there for free beer and a trip to the States. And it's like, well, that's a perk. Sure, we all like free beer and a trip to the States, but I mean, more can come from it than that. Carl goes, I don't even know what I wrote. Carl goes chin to chin with Canadian Brendan. Boy, that's a nice motivational speaker tactic when you just go chin to chin with a guy and want to fight him. What section of Tony Robbins did you hear that part? Yeah, today we're going to work on confrontation. The best way to be a motivational speaker is to confront the people that you're supposed to be housemates with and alpha male chin bravado up to them. Let me tell you something, guys. I'll give you a little hint. You want to be a motivational speaker? Here's what you got to do. You approach your subject like they're a peer, and then you undo one button if you got a linen shirt on. You just want to be Connor Brennan. You want to be out there and say, listen, no one fights in a luau, okay, bud? You know what I mean? No one fights at a barbecue, and you bring that barbecue, and that's what Linen Shirt Dave is all about, okay? You don't get world renown. You don't become a Belizean bad boy unless you bring that barbecue energy to the party. No one's trying to fight at a luau, and you heard that here first, folks. All right, moving along. I always wonder what my in-laws think. They're on the floor below me, probably like brushing their teeth, waking up, and I'm up here being like, nobody fights at a luau. You know what I mean? Nobody fights at a luau. It's going to be my next autobiography. Just me with a spatula. Friendly Dave. Okay. Go to chin. No one wants to go chin to chin with me. You don't want to go chin to chin with me, Carl. All right, maybe you do. I don't know. I don't want to go with you, though. I'll tell you that much. Probably has bad breath, just assuming I sure do. Coffee breath. All right, James doesn't like Hunter, calls him a liar. Hunter admits to lying about creating a top 4. He says, I got to own up to that. And they go, yeah, because you're on live TV. He's like, yeah, I'm going to own up to that because you caught me on camera. But the point is, that's a problem. It's like if they catch you into like a micro lie, something that's not important, it creates this like this sort of like seed of doubt that maybe you're a liar. And that's what the show's all about. It's like trying to create cracks in each other's facade, if you will. Speaking of cracks in their facade, I am so sunburned. You ever get so sunburnt you can feel your muscles like sort of tear apart from your skin? All right. And of course I got sunburned yesterday. So today I'm going to have to like reach for the fan in the airplane. You ever have to reach for the fan, but your arms are so burnt? You're just like, ugh. All right. That's my life. Really, really suffering out here in Belize. Woe is me. Woe is me. All right, so Connor's journey. All right, we go to Connor's journey. This is a big one. Connor's journey, big fan favorite. Just checking the timing there. Big fan favorite, Connor's journey. Connor texted his exes to ask if he's a trash kisser. I probably would have done the same thing. If someone's like, Dave, you're a bad kisser, I'd be like, can we get an Instagram poll from everyone who's what's this? Tonsil hockey? Okay, boy. We're just hitting a couple speed bumps here. Let's get a little coffee in us for the second half of this video. That's the good stuff. Wow. All right, so we got the girl in the audience. Now, I wish I wasn't spoiled on how this all went down before watching it, but the girl in the audience goes, I hear you're probably not a bad kisser. She does that thing. I don't even know if she did this, but it felt like she did that, where like you like twirl your hair. You're reading in Cosmo one time, guys will hit on you if you touch your hair. That's kind of like a thing, right? Like, if a woman's into you, she's touching your hair, so like you're being calculated. You're like, I like you, Connor, just grabbing things. All right. And she's like, look, you can't be that bad. And everyone goes, oh, no. But of course, come on. She's already got a microphone on her. Clearly, this is, they show the central casting post, which, look, it doesn't mean she didn't agree to do it, but she got paid for the gig. It's a live performance. It's in SAG or AFTRA or whatever the case may be. She's an actress, which is fine. It doesn't mean they couldn't do well together, but, clearly they my guess is this. They met in his trailer beforehand to suss it out. I don't think they would put this on somebody, because if he rejected her, it could have been a really sour note for the show. Like, it could have been fun and playful, but it could have been like, ooh, you know what I mean? So my guess is they met in the trailer before, and I've done this where, like, I've done scenes in movies, indie stuff, where like you got to make out with someone you just met, and it's like, all right, let's figure out how to do this, right? Let's get some Chinese food and call it a party, right? A little banaka, you know what I mean? But I think it was. Obviously it was completely staged, but I also believe that the guys didn't know, because that's the best part, is the reaction. It's like a magic trick. You watch David Blaine doing a magic trick. It's like, that's cool and all, but the best part is the guys in the background being like, oh shoot, you know what I mean? So you get Trey, and he's like, oh, oh my God, it was the most amazing thing. It was like they won the Super Bowl because one of their guys was getting a kiss from someone in the audience. They were like, I would watch that in slow motion, just with some. Here's what I would do, and maybe someone can help me out with this. Let me know if there's anyone who wants to put this together. I want that championship music, the end of the movie, touchdown, when they score, the game's over. Oh, we are the champions. I want that with slow motion of the guys being like, yes, yes. Oh, the guys are hugging each other in the background. We did it. Connor made out with that girl. Yes. And it's like, whenever anyone's like, talking about guys, they're like, oh, come on, you're an adult. You need to be mature. Show them a clip of these guys, because we resort back to our animalistic being like, yes, he kissed her, which means that they may procreate, which means humanity continues. You know what I mean? So congrats to Connor and random audience girl. And look, I don't, if you're into Connor and you're an actor and it seems like a fun thing, take the gig. It's funny. You know what I mean? I would have been, I would have been out there to bromance with Connor. I'm not saying I would have kissed him, but I would have been out there if anyone was like in the audience being like, Connor, can we be friends? And the guys in the back are like, oh shoot, Dave wants to be friends with Connor. Oh my gosh. Bring it to a bar. You can imagine me and Connor just grilling. We got 2 buttons between the two of us. I'll do it. All right. So the question is Connor, now everyone's like Michael A., Spencer, who's going to be the next Bachelor? Connor hasn't been in anyone's purview. Is that the right term? All right. So anyway, the guys are cheering. Andrew S., he's a big contender for the next Bachelor. We see how recent his heartbreak is. You know what I mean? It's like you could tell with the newer guys, Michael A., Andrew Spencer. You can tell with those guys like how fresh the sort of breakup is. He said, we got pretty damn close. He sure did. All right, Brendan A. gets his package. Obviously, Katie didn't get his package, at least not in the long term. Hunter's crying. So watch the package. You see the guys, they go from cheering for Connor. Next thing you know, they're like, woo! And then they show the package of Brendan A. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is the saddest thing in the world. And it's true. We just, with the more you look into his story, the more you just feel how gut-wrenching it is, because he's so authentic and such a good guy. He said, a reminder of what I had to do to be a great parent. And in that moment, it's just raise his son. And in any other world, you can pause your relationship. But this train just keeps going on. It keeps riding. So he said, when you pursue one, you feel it takes away from another. I can't speak to that. I will say this. My mom first 10 years of my life, was single, and she went on a few dates and, nothing that I really remember. But I really do feel like she felt like she was focused on raising me and my sister until we were at an age where like she could like go, on a couple dates or whatever the case may be. I don't want to get too far into the thick of that. He said there's so much left unsaid. Then we have, oh, by the way, I wanted to give a shout out to Sarah and to Cora. You guys are so sweet. They helped me put together the clips. They helped me get clips from last night's episode so that I could watch this because I was having a really hard time watching it live with the streams and being international and all that. So thank you guys so much. And thanks to everyone in the Discord and the Patreon and everyone who's in the other Dave communities. I appreciate all of you guys for all the kind words. It's been amazing. There is a link in my Instagram bio if anyone wants to check out the Discord. It's just like a chat room for everybody. It's a ton of fun. There's a couple hundred people that are in it, I believe, or at least 100. And that's that link for the Discord, which is a community chat for everyone who watches my channel, is in my Instagram bio and all the newsletter and all that stuff. So anyway, thank you guys so much for that. And Caitlin says that the guys are terrible at roasting. We get back into that. Caitlin and Tasha did a great job. And I know, listen, the second I say, who do you think's a better co-host, Caitlin and Tasha? Everyone goes, Dave, you're pushing back feminism 100 years by even asking. You're pitting them against each other. Look, they both have different pros and cons. And I'm not here to, I think Tasha would do a better job in the serious role, but I think Caitlin does a much better job at her improv. I mean, she was like, you guys are bad at roasting, and then one of the guys roasted each other, and she goes, you're making my point. You know what I mean? She made it so seamless how she was able to barb back and forth with the guys. I'm not saying Tasha doesn't do that, but Tasha doesn't go for the funny, and Caitlin does, and that's the difference. Caitlin will find the funny, whereas Tasha just is comfortable being in whatever the tone may be. As a host, maybe Tasha's better then because she's going to steal from it. But what's more entertaining for me is Caitlin, because as soon as like Connor's kissing the girl, Caitlin's like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" She's right in the thick of things. How funny is that? So Caitlin Bristow invites Jason onto the show, and they show their engagement that they had, which was after filming of this season. That's how this timeline's so warped. Caitlin was still unengaged or pre-engaged while they were filming the season, and then of course Jason surprises her on the podcast and she's like, oh my gosh, she does that that manic energy that I love about her. I could see that it could rub some people the wrong way, boring people, but for me, I like it. And Jason goes, it's so hard to surprise her. It's so funny, the tools and techniques. Maybe this is a stand-up bit or a premise I should work on. The tools and techniques you need to make a good proposal happen are the same tools and techniques that would make you a better cheater. You know what I mean? You got to have deceit. You got to have stealth mode. You got to be able to lie. You got to be able to surprise. You have to be able to keep secrets. Anyway, probably why I had didn't do a great proposal. I mean, I did fine, but I didn't have the setup. I had me with a camera on a beach in Thailand. And that was our last trip in the last year and a half until we're out here in Belize. We've just been hunkered down, doing our part, making content from the safety of my home. My skin's going to love it when I go back to my studio later tonight because it's going to be like, oh, nice, indoor lighting. Meanwhile, I'm out here just, catching rays. That's what I like to do, catch rays. You know me, Bazillion, you know me, Belizean bad boy, Dave Neal, internationally renowned linen shirt Dave. I like to just catch rays right off that old clavicle. Bounce them right off the chin plate like a superhero, like a melanoma superhero. All right, so that's the end of part 1, and that's where I'm going to finish this video for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think. I got to go catch a flight. We had to do a rapid COVID test, which, by the way, I got a negative. Thank you. Doing my part, and then I'll be in Houston later today for a layover, and then LA tonight. I will have content back up tomorrow. I will have the Michelle Young's first look at the guys coming to you after this video. So make sure you're subscribed, like this, and stay in touch with that. Tasha, you want to come say hi? Come say hi. No, come here. Come say hi. It's the end of the video. Look at that beautiful lighting. Tasha has survived her ankle injury. It's bloody, but bruised, but you're gonna make it through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice. And what did you think of last night's episode?
I fell asleep.
Yeah, me too.
So I still have to watch it.
Okay. And you'll have your Tasha's take up.
Yeah, later. I'll do the YouTube video when we get home, but I'll try and bust out my Instagram recap.
Are you burned?
Today. Sunburned?
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit sunburned. All right. Well, we'll see you on the flight. I'll be sitting in the middle seat. Tasha will be leeching off of me, using me as a headrest and whatever else she needs to make her life comfortable. And I'll be the giving tree, letting her saw away at my branches. You got that? Just saw away at my soul. That's what Linen Shirt Dave is all about. I will have a eulogy for Linen Shirt Dave coming to you later this week. You guys remember, whenever there's a big breakup in Bachelor Nation, I make a eulogy video. So I will make a eulogy to Linen Shirt Dave. But this is his last official moment here in Belize. So on behalf of Linen Shirt Dave, on behalf of all of you that made the Belizean Bad Boy possible, thank you so much for making this content internationally renowned. And all I have to say is, Linen Shirt out. Goodbye, everybody.